Again, and thank you all for coming this evening to the City Council meeting. Before we move on to our first agenda item, which is the consent agenda, we'll have some participation with GoToMeeting from some of the items tonight. And so I'd appreciate it if everyone that has questions or comments could ask or make a hand signal or something to be recognized by the chair, and I'll try and introduce you prior to you asking your question. It's very similar to how we call for questions, but if there's any others, just so it'll be easier for those that are participating on GoToMeeting. The City Council meetings are being broadcast now, on live streamed, and we'll need to integrate some of these techniques into future meetings. For those of the public that would like to participate or have an opportunity to participate virtually, or City Council people that would like to participate virtually in the future, you'll need to reach out to the City Clerk ahead of time to make those preparations. And you can register through the City Clerk's office for that. But moving right along to the consent agenda this evening. Oh, I'm sorry. First, I'd like to ask anyone anyone here in the audience would like to address the City Council tonight on the open meeting. Anything that might not be on the council agenda this evening that you'd like to address the City Council about, please come forward and state your name. Looks as though we have a few people here that may not be taking advantage of that, which is fine. We'll move along to our consent agenda. The consent agenda this evening includes the minutes from the September 27th City Council meeting, claims for city operation, public use requests for a mobile vaccination clinic at the Bonner Springs Farmers Market, appointments to boards and commissions, the library board. Anything to be pulled by the citizens? By city staff? Questions? Concerns from the council? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved by Councilman Thompson and seconded by Councilman Mackey. If I could have a vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Kip?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. On to new business, which the first of which is the acceptance of the public sanitary sewer easement. Staff.
Mark?
Sir.
In your mic.
Okay, sorry. So when Quentin's Barbecue came in to the fuel house in their initial design, we knew that there was a sewer line that was located very close to where they wanted to go. I'll say lucky enough, they decided to change the configuration of their restaurant. And along with that, the owners and their architect and engineers laid out where the sewer line was and are granting us an easement because there was not one in existence. City engineers reviewed it. It all appears to be good, and that's what we're here for this evening.
Very good. Nothing else from the property owners? Anything from citizens? Questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the dedication of easements and right-of-ways indicated in the included exhibit, the approximate location of the easement 611 West 2nd Street.
Second.
So moved by Councilman Mackey and seconded by Mr. Shannon. Questions, concerns, comments, and we'll start with Mr. Reeves. Mr. Stevens. Mr. Kipp. Mrs. Gurley. Mrs. Woods.
None.
Thompson, Mr. Mackey.
Just wanted to thank all the business owners for working so well with Bonner. It seems like it went through pretty smoothly.
Mr. Shannon. None. Nothing else? Vote, please.
Reeves?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Kip?
Yes.
Gurley? Yes. Wood?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. On to item number 2, special use permit 0401 for 4119 Bonner Industrial Drive Mission Trucks LLC. Staff.
I just realized I don't have my memo that I prepared for you individuals with me, but Planning Commission, we held a public hearing to address a special use permit request to sell commercial vehicles out of 4119 Bonner Industrial Drive. They range in size from the tractor portion of a semi-rig all the way down to, I believe they were the transit-type vehicles. There's a representative from Mission Truck here this evening. If you guys have any questions of him, it went through. We had no public comment. We had no, Planning Commission approved it unanimously. That was where it stood.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else to add, sir? Very good. Any other citizens that have a question, concern? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve an ordinance granting a special use permit for Mission Trucks LLC at 4119 Bonner Industrial Drive.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Shannon and seconded by Mr. Stevens. Questions, concerns, comments, and we'll start down here with Mr. Shannon.
Thank you guys for joining Bonner Springs. Appreciate it.
What Mr. Mackey said.
Nothing.
Doesn't hear.
Very good. Seeing nothing else, vote please.
Yes.
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Yes, I think you said my name. Okay.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurley? Yes.
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 Very good. Congratulations. Welcome to the neighborhood. On to our item number 3. I didn't know. Uniform Development Ordinance Agreement with Freese and Nichols. Staff? Again.
Get it all tonight, don't I? No. Amber actually started this one before my employment with the city of Bonner Springs, but we're working our way through getting it all wrapped up and finished. As we proceeded through it, the numbers came back exceeding the budgeted limit. So Amber and I kind of sat down and discussed how we could make best use of the funds that we had. And we felt that accomplishing the Uniform Development Ordinance would be, I don't want to say an easier task, but more or less we're taking the existing documents that we have, going through them and finding any discrepancies, and merging those all into one seamless document that will aid not only citizens but developers alike as they come to look at Bonner Springs to move forward. Along with that, I know that comprehensive plan updates had been discussed among council and things like that, and we were going to be moving in that direction. I told Amber as well as Sean that I would be more than happy to take on most of those updates that I can do. The document that you guys have in place now is actually pretty good. It just needs updates. It just needs to be brought up to the current times, but the wording and the things that are provided in it are good, as far as I'm concerned anyways. So that was where we headed down a path of getting the Uniform Development Ordinance at least done and completed.
That's phase 1.
Yes, sir.
And we'll move on to the other phases as our budget allows. Very good.
And we do have Dawn Warwick, who with Freese and Nichols. They will be working on the Uniform Development Ordinance. She's here if you guys have any direct questions or anything.
Very good. Don, do you have anything to add?
Nothing really. Mark's covered the basics. I'll just give a brief introduction of myself so you guys know a little bit about me and the firm. My name's Dawn Warwick. I am a professional planner, urban planner, and project manager with Freese and Nichols. I've been with the firm for about 3 years, and prior to that, I worked in public sector planning for 23 years in 3 different communities across the country. So I have experience on both sides of the aisle with regard to managing ordinances and also drafting ordinances as well as long-range planning documents. Freese and Nichols is a 127-year-old firm. We're based in Fort Worth, but we have 25 offices across 7 states in the southeastern United States. And so this is the kind of work that our team really loves to do. We draft long-range plans, but it's more important oftentimes to get the codes aligned with those plans so that they can be successfully implemented by communities. I think that we have done a good job of understanding the scope of work that the city issued in their RFQ earlier this year, and sort of scrubbing through that and working with Amber and Mark to identify the things that are most important for the city of Bonner Springs, make sure those are embedded in our work program. And so the first phase is what is initially being considered, although the scope of work covers the entirety of the phases that will deliver a full updated uniform development code. And the first phase is developing a diagnostic report that's understanding your existing policy documents as well as codes, and providing an issue paper, more or less, that really digs into what issues there are, what possible resolutions there are, and spending time with stakeholders, both inside the city as well as external stakeholders who work with the codes on a regular basis, understanding what their pain points are and where we need to really focus attention in streamlining processes or updating tools within the code to make sure that what results on the ground matches the vision that the city has put forth in their comprehensive plan. So with that, we're super excited to be working with the city of Bonner Springs, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Very good. Thank you, Mrs. Warwick. Anything else from other staff?
Nothing to add.
Good. Citizens have a question concerning this issue? Very well. I go ahead and open up for a motion so we can have something to discuss. I would entertain that.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to enter into a contract with Freese Nichols, Inc. for a Phase 1 of the UDO for an amount not to exceed $45,000.
Second.
So moved by Mrs. Gurley and seconded by Mr. Shannon. Questions, concerns, comments, and we'll start back down here with Mr. Reeves.
Nothing here.
Mr. Stevens.
Nothing here.
Mr. Kipp.
Nothing here.
Nothing more.
Mrs. Woods.
I really appreciate that there's going to be a community open house worked in this. I think that when we offer community, hey, you can come and we'll discuss this, it's a very important thing. Democracy versus dictatorship.
I wanted to compliment you guys on your contract writing. I appreciated how extremely exacting it was. Saw on the compensation page, I was amused that I don't know what a pressure data logger is, but I'm thankful there's a price for it and a microscope. I don't know what you guys would use either one of those for, but more information in this case is typically better. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Shannon? Nothing else? No other questions, concerns, comments? I'll ask for a vote, please.
Stevens?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Gurley? Yes. Shannon?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Kipp?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good, thank you. Thank you very much, both city staff and Ms. Warwick. Appreciate all your time and professionalism, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.
On to item number 4, an ordinance amending Chapter XV, Traffic, Article 1, Section 15-110 of the Code of Ordinances. Staff?
Mayor, Chris Briggs, City Clerk. This particular ordinance specifies or regulates the weight of vehicles that are currently allowed to park on city streets and roadways. The city has just invested quite a bit in our local roads and streets and parking lots, and we were asked to present an ordinance to include the city-owned parking lots in that ordinance to protect those from damage from overweight vehicles.
All right.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very good, thank you. Anything from the citizens or any others, I'm sorry, any other city staff have any input? No. Seeing none. Citizens? Very good. I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adopt an ordinance to amend Chapter XV Traffic, Article 1, Section 15-110 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bonner Springs.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Mackey and seconded by Mrs. Gurley. Questions, concerns, comments, and we'll start down here this time with Mr. Shannon.
I was thankful to see this happen. Thank you guys for thinking ahead on this one.
How will it be made clear to all the truck drivers? Do they know, they just will know, large trucks will know not to come in?
Currently, we don't have it posted on the city streets, and I believe that they're aware that, I think the limit is 16,000 pounds, that they're not allowed to park on the street. I don't, as far as I know, we don't have any plans to post signs.
I'd rather not.
Will there probably be some notifications system, a warning maybe, or something to that effect? That there's, and because there's a few that do this on a regular basis. I don't know exactly what size of trucks or what size or anything. Ma'am?
Yeah, it's, I was just curious on this. I think it's a good idea, but I was just curious if it's just being proactive, or is it answering an issue that has kind of started up, where we've had large vehicles park overnight or for long periods of time?
I think probably a little bit of both. So we did just invest a lot into our parking lots. The ordinance specifically and has specifically stated concrete, that they're allowed on concrete and gravel, but not on blacktops. I think it's just kind of wanting to protect our investment.
Okay, thank you.
Sir?
Nothing here.
Okay, I got a couple questions. We're not going to be weighing, I would imagine that the police department's not going to be weighing vehicles. Do you go by a rule of thumb? Is it 3 axles, or what points to being an 8,000 or a 8,000 pound vehicle?
Vehicles are labeled for their gross vehicle weight.
Okay,
So there
or should be.
Should be a
And
label.
if they're not, then there's one that is parked. I don't know how big they have to be before they have to have that marked on them.
12,000 pounds.
If you could get that information for us, because I would imagine pickup trucks don't have to, and then large panel vans probably don't, and then at some point they do, if they have this semi-truck. I'm sorry, I didn't know that, thank
They'll
you.
usually have the gross vehicle weight posted on a sticker on the driver's side door or somewhere around that that'll show. I think to answer the other question about enforcement, these are things that typically the police department will, these aren't things that we look to go cite people. We try to educate and move on from there. If it's a repeat offender type thing, then we'll move forward with more drastic measures, but typically, most people, one interaction is usually enough.
And this is long-term parking, or is it just parking to unload, offload?
Yeah. Right, so loading, unloading is exempted in the ordinance, and then, what was the other one?
Sorry.
Emergency repairs as well.
Very good. But this doesn't cover private parking lots? So private parking lots like Walmart that frequently has this kind of vehicles parked in their parking lot overnight? Oh, really? Okay. All right. Another good thing to know. All right, I have nothing else. Seeing any other questions, concerns, comments? Vote, please.
Voting on a motion to adopt an ordinance to amend Chapter 15, Traffic, Article 1, Section 15-110 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bonner Springs. Kip?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Gurley. Yes. Stevens,
Yes.
motion passes.
Very good. On to our reports this evening, the first of which, the city manager's report.
Just a couple quick things. First, I just want to point out there are a lot of events going on in October. This is a great time for, obviously, kids with Halloween coming up, so just want to point out that we are having Halloween story trails. This is something we've had in the past as well, but that will be going on, as well as Boo Bash. I think this is the 9th year, I believe, of that at the library, so that's the 30th. Also, not to be confused with the Boo Bash, which will be at the amphitheater on the 23rd, featuring Nelly. So if you look at Bonner Springs Boo Bash, you might get confused, but again, libraries is on the 30th.
Maybe two different demographics.
Also want to let everybody know that we are getting some good recognition with this building and hosting an event with the Wyandotte Economic Development Council this week. So again, a lot of folks, development and otherwise, will be coming to Bonner Springs to just see this building alongside getting updates of development going on in this area. And then lastly, want to let everybody know that the police department did have Officer Thomas. He's been going through the academy, did graduate at the beginning of the month. So he'll be starting his FTO training. That'll last a couple weeks, and then he'll be a police officer, so to speak. So with that, those are my quick updates for this evening.
Very good. Moving right into city council items, and we'll start down here with Mr. Reeves.
Thank you. A couple items. Spring Creek City did a wonderful job cleaning that up. Appreciate that a whole lot. And that comes from people living on Linda Lane and Lakewood Road. So good job there. Cemetery Pond is looking good. However, the trimming around the stones is not looking quite so good. That seemed to have gotten progressively worse as the summer went along, so maybe we need to tighten the specifications on that for mowing for next year, possibly. Cemetery Committee hasn't met for a long time. Was wondering if possibly we can start that in February next year. Would that be a possibility? They usually start in March.
March, yeah. I think that we can talk and try to get something scheduled out. Yep, absolutely.
Good. Let's see. I noticed that our fire truck has reappeared without visible registration.
Different truck.
It's an emergency vehicle and doesn't require. Oh, you're talking about the. I thought you were talking about our fire trucks. Yes,
No,
we had several
fire
on display
truck.
at Farmers Market this weekend. So
Yes, that was fantastic.
The fire truck, not our fire truck.
yes, yeah. My understanding is that the vehicle has been repaired to be operating, has the required registration, temporary tag, and then has insurance. Your question is, it's not displayed with the tag on it currently. I believe our code enforcement officer has reached out to those individuals and made
I know
that
he has.
same comment. So, yep.
And our code enforcement officer, I think, has been doing a good job. I see a lot of improvement in property around town. I know it's a big job. He's hitting people up, so I'm just hoping that we'll continue on along that vein, even though the winter time is coming. We need to stay with that. And parking spaces down on 2nd Street between Cedar and Maple, those are there. That's a lot better. However, I still was accosted because we didn't take care of marking where the sidewalks come out to the street like we talked about. I was wondering if there's some way we can add those sidewalk, you know, where the sidewalk comes out to the street, meets the street.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Right, I think the concern was that it would eliminate parking spots by doing that, just because you have to have the amount of space. So in doing so, you'd probably lose 2 parking spots, which I know is a
I know, but
big concern.
that seemed to also be an equal problem. That's
Yeah,
So, anyway, thank you. It's good to be here.
Since staff participated in the KDOT meeting, did anything come of that, or was there?
Oh, trying to remember which one, there's been too
Is that a
many.
virtual-
Yeah,
virtual
yeah,
local
so-
consent?
yeah, I think I was on that, I think Mark was also on there. It was more of a, maybe just to back up they've been doing consult meetings they did one in 2019, and this is a refresher. This has been a big push by the current governor administration to try to prioritize projects and try to get local input. As far as the city is concerned, or Bonner, I don't think there was really anything that progressed out of that, other than that they were looking at I-70 and K-7 as a project totaling $43 million. I had asked during that, what did that entail, and nobody could answer that question, so I suggested that they reach out to the local communities before allocating $43 million to a project. So that was,
Thank you, Sean.
yeah, I think that was the outcome there.
Good. I didn't know what local consult meant.
Yeah, it's
Specific to us, or it's?
no, they have it broken down by, I think there's 5 regions altogether, so it's just a big conglomerate. So for this area, it's kind of the metro. So Wyandotte, Johnson, Miami, Leavenworth counties are all part of what the KDOT considers the metro region. So it was folks from all over this area, cities, counties, state reps, so on.
Great. Sorry for missing last meeting. I was flight delay in Dallas. I could not make it back in time. I don't know who this is from, but it's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh.
Appreciate it. So it's laying here, so.
KU fan.
I don't know who gave it to me. I know 3 people it's not from. Well, one man's trash is another man's trash. Thank you.
Were we able to get the Lions Park restrooms repaired?
They haven't been repaired. I think they have one set up and running. So there were 2 sinks. One was completely destroyed, and then the other one, I believe they were able to get back and hang on there again. So it's somewhat operating, but we're still trying to figure out better ways of dealing with restrooms and vandalism. Unfortunately, that's just we had it for a while. It went away. Now it's back again. So people are just bored again, I guess.
If you're not following the police department social media feed and the Bonner briefs, I suggest that you do that. It is informative and amusing.
Yes.
Comes out every Monday afternoon. Thanks to Sergeant Pate for that. Curiosity, the house on 138th Street on the west side that's been abandoned for, I don't know, 100 years. I'm sure Codes is aware of that. Is that something that is in communication? It just gets so overgrown all the time.
I feel like there's more than one in that particular area, to be quite
The house
honest.
to the south of the farm property that has the llamas and
Yeah.
it's the White House back
Yep.
from the road.
Yes, I'm sure
I'm sure there's
Mark
more
is
to
aware
that
of. I don't.
story that may
yeah.
not need to be publicly discussed, but as long as someone's working it,
Yeah, and agriculturally zoned properties are a little more, difficult, lack of a better term, to deal with on a nuisance standpoint. But I can follow up with Mark and kind of get
more
an idea what's
concerned
going
that
on.
it's not inviting vagrants or
Right.
troublemaking kids or anything of that nature.
It needs to be boarded if it is, and if there's windows and things like that. Yep, absolutely.
That's all for me. Thank you.
The fire department was wonderful at the farmer's market, so welcoming to kids, and somehow we had gotten a whole lot of helmets donated, and they were wonderful. I had no idea that fire trucks could lift themselves in the air so that they don't fall over when the ladder's up. I mean, wow. But the kids were just so excited about it. Yeah.
I wanted to thank Stephanie Cashin for her bravery and the report that she had to do. She received a onslaught of media attention for it and tons of craziness. But for women in Bonner Springs and even women in Wyandotte County, it was very cool that she stood up to do that. If you have any interest in what I'm talking about, you can look it up online, but I'll keep it simple with thanking her for what she did. It was acknowledgeable that Fabian Shepard stepped down from his post. It was appreciated. My second thing was I wanted to congratulate Joshua Littlejohn. He was a former Bonner Brave. He and I graduated together, and he was recently promoted to vice chair of the City Kings. It's a motorcycle club in Olathe. And my third item on there was John Mackey today was appointed to the library board, and his grandfather was actually a gentleman by the name of Samuel E. Mackey. He was a Bonner resident, and his parents, John's parents, live in Sam's house now. And it's one of, I think it's still one of the oldest remaining original houses in Bonner Springs. And Sam's date of rest, I'll put it that way, is actually tomorrow, or the anniversary of it, October 12th, 1983. And he was a proprietor of fireworks and cigars, so a little fun history for, I'm sure,
1983?
1983.
I thought you said 53.
Well, numbers,
I'm sorry.
less dyslexic, all that fun stuff. So a little fun history for you. He was a gentleman whom was also on the level. So thank you guys. That's my diatribe for the day, and namaste.
Sir? Very good. Very short mayor's report. We did have an opportunity to meet with the Chamber of Commerce. They were getting ready for their golf tournament and have had the very successful golf tournament since our last meeting. It's nice that the community supports that as well as it does, just like DPW, they utilize a lot of that for scholarships. So it's another way that the community continues to support the community. Other than that, there is a lot of activities going on in Bonner Springs, from the Ren Fest to the Azura Amphitheater, and all the farmers market and the different local things going on. There's a Makers Fair or something coming up. Is it this weekend or this Saturday? Up on Oak Street, and so please take advantage of that as you can. Other than that, I believe that's all the particulars I had. Unless anyone has a question for me, we stand adjourned.